All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And I apologize ahead of time if my voice sounds a little bit off. I am indeed under the weather. I have been for the last few days, but it's not going to stop me from making this commentary because this is important, and it's been a few days, and I want to talk about it. So let's get right into it. Oh, and at the same time, I want to involve you guys because I need some of you guys that know about this stuff even more than I do to educate me. But we'll get there naturally. So over the past 6 months, give or take, right? Obviously, this channel has been very, very supportive of XDefiant, and over over the months that we've been making content here on this channel, there's been a multitude of subjects discussed in terms of the things that we worry about, whether or not this game is going to have, team deathmatch on launch, prestige, the way the seasonal thing is going to work, skill-based matchmaking, and all that kind of stuff. And looking at it from the point of view from today, XDefiant from its start actually only had one problem. We thought that problem was that, it might not have this or it might not have that. We thought the problem that was that, it's got to deal with Call of Duty. We thought the problem was such and such. But no, to be honest, when you look at it from the entirety of this game, XDefiant only really has one problem that it needs to conquer in order for it to not just to survive, but to thrive. And that one problem is the cheating issue, and which means that the developers need to do their absolute best, which I'm sure they will be doing, with the anti-cheat. Now, a few years ago back, I used to talk to a few members of the community way before XDefiant was even a thing. And I've been made aware that there have been cheats in development that are designed to be undetected. Now, I don't fully understand how that stuff works. And if a game has kill cams, obviously you should be able to detect something. But if the cheat is sophisticated enough, or the hack or the cheat is sophisticated enough to make the kill cam look legit, then, players just going to shake it off, and then they're just going to be disappointed, and then they're going to say, oh, the skill-based matchmaking in this game is too strict or something, or whatever it is. But if you're an experienced first-person shooter player of any kind, whether you're on mouse and keyboard or controller, regardless of what platform, a lot of times you can tell when something sus is going on if you're experienced enough, especially if you're also skilled enough. Some things are very, very questionable. But at the same time, you always have your doubts here and there sometimes because it is an online environment and weird stuff happens online sometimes. But when you see a consistency of it, that's when it becomes a problem. So in this day and age, so many people have been making videos exposing this cheater and that cheater. A lot of people have been exposed. Nothing's been happening. There hasn't really been any changes. And my big thing that I'm worried about is is cheating going to get so prevalent to where everybody's going to be cheating because they're just going to get cheats so that way they don't so that way they don't have a disadvantage? Or are the players that want to be legit, are those guys just going to stop playing games and cheaters are just going to be playing against other cheaters? I mean, is that what's going to happen? And the big question I have for you guys is, you got a couple games that I'm aware of in Tarkov and Valorant that apparently have some of the best anti-cheat in the business. Obviously, you can't get rid of cheating 100% in a game, but those games, as far as I'm aware, and as far as I've been told, do a really solid job of keeping their game pretty damn clean, especially when you compare it to Call of Duty recently and Warzone and a few other games here and there. So ultimately, at the end of the day, especially since XDefiant is obviously being compared to COD and is similar to COD and all those other things. Plus, there were some whispers going around that some people spotted cheaters in the beta. I mean, it wasn't crazy, but apparently cheaters were spotted in the beta. And it's gotten to a point now the people that are doing this, that are, hacking or whatever it is, whether they're competing to win tournaments, whether they're just trying to grow their streaming channel or their YouTube channel or whatever it is, for whatever reason that they're doing it, they're it's gotten to a point to where some people are just exposing themselves, and it just doesn't seem like, if some of these big name guys were to all of a sudden expose themselves or admit all these years later that they've been sus, I wonder how many people are actually going to give a damn. A lot of us a lot of us are already suspecting it as it is. I mean, not even suspecting. There's been, you know, content creators out there that have literally been shoving the proof in our face. But anyway, so with that being said, that is the only problem that XDefiant really needs to tackle as best as it can. And that is the only thing that actually has me worried about the game, because when you think about it, XDefiant is trying to do something that 90% of games are not doing in terms of the level of transparency with the community. And of course, the no skill-based matchmaking in pubs, and perhaps an even better ranking system for online play in as far as competitive is concerned than some of these other games. And I'm not necessarily talking about other games like Valorant or anything like that, because those are even more competitive than XDefiant, in my opinion. Although I think XDefiant's goal is to be competitive on that level. But ultimately, in order for the game to truly become competitive, you also have to have not only an even playing field and a fair playing field, but you also have to have a good system, right? So a good ranking system and all that stuff. So, but anyway, after all these months, it just became so clear. And I wanted to talk about it because I want you guys to give me your input. I'm sure there are some of you guys that know more than I do in terms of what's going on and what's possibly going to be awaiting XDefiant from the moment it releases. And it would be a real shame for this game to for it to be a great game and to get killed by something like this. And we know it's possible, right? There's a lot of players that will leave if the cheating is that bad. Like if the cheating really is that bad, people are going to leave, or they're going to stay and just cheat their asses off. And then at the end of the day, all you're going to have is just a game to where it's just going to be competitive players, and all you see is the competitive pros playing, and then that's it. But even then, that's not going to be enough, because if people are cheating left and right, then what's truly competitive about that? And that's pretty much nothing. So when it comes to XDefiant and it's, and it's near full, it's near future here in terms of its release, it's the one thing that has me worried the most. I can wait for a TDM. I can wait for a prestige system. I'm sure people will wait for their search and destroy and competitive. New maps, new modes. We all know that that's coming, and they're already currently working on it. It's already been mentioned, right? We already know that. These things are, we're good. They're pretty much guaranteed. But what's not guaranteed, though, is an even playing field due to some of these things. And again, I'm not pointing the finger at any platform specifically, because it's not just so prevalent these days from the PC community as well, but it's also very prevalent in the console community, because you got people using all sorts of attachments with scripts and all that kind of stuff. And it really is a shame. This really makes me miss the old days before scuff controllers, for instance, were even a thing. And I'm not saying scuff controllers are cheating. I'm just saying, like, back during those days before scuff controllers even became a thing, it was the most even playing field that we ever had in console gaming, because everybody was using the same controller. There were headsets, though, and a few players did have headsets, but most people did not use headsets, believe it or not. They just used the one that came with the console, so you can talk on the mic with these other people. But for the most part, people were listening to the audio on their TV at the time, before monitors became a thing as well. Before monitors became the way to play. PC players already knew this, but for the majority of people that started out on console multiplayer gaming, myself included, it started with a TV. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even an HD TV at the time. I ended up getting one later for Christmas, and then that's when I finally started playing on HD. So, yeah, I for one am. That's the only thing that has me concerned as far as XDefiant's concerned. And I want to end the video with this. If things really go down bad with XDefiant as far as this subject is concerned, and the cheating is that bad to where the game is hardly playable. Like if we're talking like Black Ops 2 or something like Black Ops 2. Now obviously we don't necessarily have to expect people to be jumping and doing the stuff that you do in Black Ops 2, but there are other things that that hacks and cheats are programmed, like the walling and the aimbotting and a few other things, right? So if it's that bad, then well, there's always other games to play, and I can always do commentaries about other things that we gamers might be interested in, regardless of whatever game we may play. Such as the Spider-Man video that I made, talking about how Sony wants to charge the next Spider-Man game in 3 different parts for $50 a pop. I can make videos like that. I can talk about things that matter. And I'm actually interested in getting a Wii. I'm sorry, not a Wii. The next Nintendo that's coming out, which is rumored to be called the Switch 2. And again, there's always something to talk about. There's always games to play. And as far as this channel is concerned, that would be the direction that I would head in if XDefiant went down that path, if things ended up that way with XDefiant. I hope this doesn't happen. And not just for the sake of my YouTube channel, but for the sake of the game, actually. You know, the YouTube thing is just a bonus, with all due respect, of course. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I just want a good game. And I want a game that's playable, and I want a game to be as fair as it can possibly be. You know, you can't get rid of cheaters 100%, but you can still make the game very playable, and it's like, whatever. Just, you know, if you see a cheater, you can just back out and find a new lobby. And that'll be that. So... but yeah, with that being said, guys, I'd really like to know your thoughts on this down below. How in the world is it that games like Tarkov and Valorant are able to do this while so many other games are not quite as clean as those games? I'd really like to know. But with that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. And I look forward to your comments down below in terms of your thoughts on this matter, because it is an important one. And thank you all again, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.